An elderly chef walks through a large kitchen, approving numerous delicious dishes as he passes. Goreng awakens in a building and is informed by his cellmate Trimagasi that they are on level 48 and in a location known as the Pit. Every level of the prison has 2 persons, and each month, inmates are knocked out and sent to a different level. Goreng is told that food is essential in this prison. Trimagasi notices that the people below and above do not communicate. An alarm goes off, and a big table of partially eaten food descends into their cage via a hole in the middle. Trimagasi begins devouring the food, as Goreng looks on with disdain. It is clear that the meal was dropped via the first 47 levels above them before reaching their cage. Goreng takes an uneaten apple from the table and places it in his pocket to eat later. Despite Goreng's objections, Trimagasi spits on the meal and drinks the remaining wine as the table descends to the cell below them. After the table has fully descended to the next level, the cell becomes excessively hot. Trimagasi explains that the meal belongs only to them when the table is on their floor. The guards have stepped up the heat as a punishment for keeping the fruit. The heat turns off only after Goreng throws the apple down the hole to the table below. Goreng agreed to spend 6 months in the pit in exchange for an authorized diploma. He eventually persuades Trimagasi to reveal his experience. The old man became upset one day over a little issue and hurled his television out the window. The television killed a man standing outside the apartment, prompting him to choose to be in the pit instead of a psychiatric facility. Trimagasi also mentions that the lowest level he's reached is 132. He verifies that no food made it that far. He claims to have found ways to eat. Goreng wants to yell at higher levels to conserve food, but Trimagasi refuses to listen to a communist. When Goreng cries down to the other inmates to conserve food, Trimagasi urinates on those below, promising to return the favor if he is assigned to a lower level than them. Goreng states that he carried a book to prison, whereas Trimagasi brought a knife. Goreng first refuses to eat, but he soon gives in to hunger and joins Trimagasi at the table. One day, a dead body falls through the hole. Trimagasi argues that many of the individuals mentioned above commit suicide when their basic necessities are supplied, and they are forced to focus completely on their circumstances and the actions they have taken to survive. Goreng is enraged at Trimagasi's careless attitude, as well as that of his fellow prisoners. He accuses Trimagasi of murdering and eating his former cellmate while they were on one of the lower floors. Trimagasi denies this, claiming his cellmate served his sentence and was released. He claims they lived on the lower floors by cannibalizing the corpses that fell from above. One day, a woman is sitting on the table as it descends. Trimagasi explains that this woman's name is Miharu, and she is looking for her little child, who is apparently being held somewhere. He claims she kills her cellmate once a month, theorizing that the body that fell was her cellmate's, in the hopes of being paired with her child again. Every month, she descends as far as she can on the platform to find her child. When the table lowers to level 49, the inmates try to rape her. Goreng yells for them to halt. Miharu kills both men and continues her descent. After a few days, Goreng becomes less courteous and more like Trimagasi. Trimagasi acknowledges on their final night at level 47 that he has grown to like Goreng. Trimagasi claims he only has 2 months before his sentence is served. When Goreng awakens, he finds himself chained to the bed with Trimagasi standing over him with a knife. They've been moved to level 171. People scream as they realize where they are, and several attempt suicide by jumping down the pit. Trimagasi claims that if he hadn't bound Goreng, Goreng would have murdered him out of hunger because he was younger and in better shape. Trimagasi intends to fast for as long as he can before gently mutilating Goreng so they can both devour his flesh. When Goreng names Trimagasi a murderer, he blames those above them. When the platform drops, there are no bones left on the table for them to eat. Trimagasi eventually begins slicing into Goreng's leg. Before Trimagasi can finish his mutilation, the platform arrives with Miharu on board. She injures Trimagasi and frees Goreng. Goreng, now free, kills Trimagasi. He and Miharu eat Trimagasi before she moves further down the table. Goreng begins to have illogical discussions with Trimagasi, who is now part of Goreng's body, and sex with Miharu. Goreng barely survives till the end of the month. Goreng awakens to discover a new cellmate, Imogwiri, who has a dog with her. They find themselves at level 33. Imogwiri had worked for the government that oversees the pit and the country outside before volunteering to be placed inside. She claims that there are 200 levels and that if everyone ate only what they required, there would be enough food to reach the bottom. The chefs also cook each inmate's favorite delicacies. According to Imogwiri, the government believes that the pit's members would come together on their own for the greater good. If the people in the pit can sacrifice for one another, the government will use their success to persuade those outside to do the same. As the table lowers, Imogwiri requests that the inmates below just eat what they need, but they ignore her. Imogwiri continues to beg people on the lower levels to eat only what they need in the coming weeks. They are only persuaded when Goreng threatens to defecate in their food. However, they are unable to persuade people at levels higher than their own to ration their food. Imogwiri believes Goreng has the ability to bring the inmates together to make a sacrifice for the common good. Miharu is discovered on the table one day, dying. The duo heals her, but when Miharu awakens, she murders Imogwiri's dog. As Miharu descends and kills another criminal attempting to assault her, Imogwiri claims that Miharu's story is false. She claims that Miharu joined the pit deliberately, without a kid, in exchange for assistance in becoming the Asian Marilyn Monroe. To prove her trustworthiness, Imogwiri reveals that she has cancer and only signed up to help others inside. Imogwiri falls into a deep depression after losing their dog. Goreng is now on level 202 following his relocation. When he wakes up, he discovers that Imogwiri has hung herself, presumably after discovering that the administration lied to her about how deep the pit is. There are additional levels beneath him as well. Goreng tries to eat his book. He eventually succumbs to cannibalism again, swallowing Imogwiri's corpse. He now has hallucinated chats with Imogwiri and Trimagasi, both of whom are now a part of him, and the specters proclaim that he is the Messiah. The following month, Goreng awakens on level 6, with a new cellmate named Baharat. Baharat has a rope and requests assistance from those above in climbing to the top and out of the pit. The inmates above him mock and defecate on him. Goreng, who calculated that there are around 250 levels when on level 202, proposes that the two drop onto the platform and distribute food at each level. He believes that if the food gets to the bottom, they will have beaten the system. If they fail, they can take the platform back up. Baharat, a pious guy, agrees to the plan, and they prepare for a fight. As the pair starts descending, they beat the other inmates back. They reach a level with a knowledgeable man whom Baharat knows. The wise men advise the pair to ensure that at least one delicious dish is returned to the platform, uneaten. That uneaten dish will serve as a signal to the government that the pit has been vanquished. They chose a panna cotta, a near-perfect dish that will be returned uneaten. As they descend, the team successfully forces the inmates to save their food. They come to a floor where Miharu is being stabbed by two extremely violent inmates. Goreng and Baharat assault and murder the savage inmates, but not before suffering severe injuries themselves. Miharu died from stab wounds. As they descend, they primarily encounter people who are dead or insane on the lower floors. The platform finishes at level 333, which they believe is the ultimate level. At that stage, they locate Minaru's child. The pair exits the platform, only to be astonished when it falls again. They give the panna cotta to the child and fall asleep. When Goreng awoke the next day, he discovered Baharat had died from his injuries. The platform reaches their level that day, despite the lack of food. Goreng pulls the young child onto the platform. Goreng soothes the youngster to sleep. The platform eventually drops to the very bottom, when light from above is merely a pinprick. At the bottom, Goreng finds Trimagasi's spirit, who informs him that his trip is over. Trimagasi believes that the child is the genuine message that needs to be sent back up to the administration. Goreng wishes to remain with the child, but he is lured off the platform when Trimagasi insists that the youngster rise alone. Trimagasi and Goreng watch as the platform ascends to the top. Trimagasi reassures Goreng that the child will successfully deliver the message to the administration, and Goreng smiles,